Hey everybody, welcome to Cali Girl Blog Talk. I'm Callie, thank you for joining me. And today I'll be reviewing Real Housewives of Potomac Season 7, Episode 10, Cleaning Up the Mess. All right, you guys, so the ladies are back in Potomac and everybody is doing what they do when they're at their home, right? And we see Robyn and Giselle, and they're doing their Reasonably Shady podcast. And in her confessional, Giselle said, who would have known that the podcast would have blown up the way that it is? They've been nominated for an NAACP award. Didn't know that. And they are planning for their podcast tour, taking it on the road. So they're planning for that, right? So their organizer leaves and they're chit-chatting, whatever. And they start talking about their time in Miami. And Giselle said, so Ashely said that when you guys were at the club, Wendy was singing a different tune. And they show a flashback of them at the club where Wendy was, they were all drunk, right? And Wendy was like, Robyn, I love you so much. Robyn told Giselle that Wendy was like saying that she cried over their situation. And Robyn said, I was like, Wendy, don't do this because this has been going on for over a year. Robyn continued to say she did contact Candace for them to meet up because, they got into a big old argument after the club in the car, as we saw last episode. Robyn told Giselle that Candace was upset because of the whole speaker thing. And Giselle said, how can you be upset? You went on Instagram and talked about us. And that's for real. How could you be upset? Like, I don't really get Candace's point. I mean, it was going to be public notice. You did it publicly. So is it the speaker or is it Robyn and your feelings were hurt? Next, we see Candace and Chris. They're in their backyard. She's planning a graduation party because she received her master's degree in business administration from Howard University. So she is going to celebrate that achievement. Congratulations. Chris said, okay, so we got Karen. And she said, yeah, we have Karen. In her confessional, she said she invited Karen because it was wrong what she said. She shouldn't have made that comment. They flashed back to when she was talking to Ashely saying that word on the curb is Karen be sneaking out of town with somebody who isn't Ray having dinner or whatever. What I'm noticing though is that the producers are not showing what Ashely said. They're only focusing on Candace. That's strategic. I just don't know why they're doing it. Definitely for a reason though. Candace didn't even remember she said the stuff. She said a producer had to tell her that she said it. So she didn't even remember she said it. Now see what happens when people run their mouth as a pastime about other people's business, or you just talking just to be talking, having conversation, and you're using that time with somebody else to talk about somebody else's business. And then time passes and you don't even remember what you said, but then it comes back to bite you right in the ace. She told Chris that Robyn sent her a text saying that, we need to meet up. Let me know when you're available to talk. Chris said, I know you like to hold a grudge. Candace said, I do. He said, but I really appreciate Robyn. I guess he's speaking in regards to because she had that sit down with them and basically let him know that she does not believe that he did anything to make Giselle uncomfortable. And Giselle being uncomfortable is just her own situation, having nothing to do with Chris. In her confessional, Candace said some things that I didn't know about, and she said that Robyn is the person that she trusts the most and that she looks up to. I didn't know that. I don't even know that that was made obvious on the previous season. Her and Chris goes in the house. He starts to cook and she says, oh yeah, I meant to tell you, I'm waiting on my period. He's like, what you mean you're waiting? Is it late? She said, yeah. So they're excited about the possibility of a bundle of joy on the way. We'll see. Next, we see Karen. She's at home. She's having a meeting with her friend Matt. We know who Matt is. He's been in all of the previous episodes as her assistant, lawyer, whatever she wants to call him at that time. So he comes to her house. So she's going to do what she called a Karen Huger live show. And it's interesting because production showed 2 months ago when Giselle let them know that the podcast Reasonably Shady is blowing up and they're getting ready to do live shows. Now here Karen is 2 months later doing a live show. Okay, Karen. And I guarantee you, if you ask Karen about it, she'll say that this was in the works 2 years ago. So the name of the event will be An Evening with the Grand Dame and Friends. He is throwing so many ideas at her that production had her looking like she is in a tunnel of confusion, okay, with so much coming at her. Once that was settled, she said, okay, now let's get to the elephant in the room. She said, with these ladies, we quite often do the same thing at the same time. And they flash back to when Wendy did the candle thing. And it was also at a time where Karen was doing the candle thing. And she said, Robyn and Giselle, they have a live show that they're doing. He said, but that's a podcast. And she said, I know. He said, I really don't see how that's going to be interesting. People do live podcasts all the time. It's just doing your podcast in front of an audience. Karen said, and I am a full experience. Okay. Don't start comparing the live shows before the live shows happen, Karen. Okay. We see Wendy and Eddie there in the car. He picked her up from the airport because she just got back from Chicago. So it turns out after the trip to Miami, she had to go directly to Chicago because she was a keynote speaker at an event. So she's back home. And in the midst of talking about all of her upcoming appointments and events that she has planned, she also has her appointment for her kidney stones. Remember a couple of episodes ago, the doctors told her about she's not drinking enough water because she's always on the go. So she doesn't have time to go to the bathroom, but that is now causing her to have kidney stones. She doesn't want to have them pass naturally. Nobody wants to go through that pain, so she's going to have them surgically removed. Next, we see Robyn and Candace. They meet up for lunch, and I guess this is the time where they're going to smooth things over, or attempt to. So they greet each other with a hug, and Candace asks, "How are you?" Robyn says, "Not good." Robyn is upset, starts crying because her hairstylist's brother and sister died in a tragic car accident. Robyn is not doing good, and Candace is consoling her. In her confessional, Robyn said life is so short, it's important that she squashes any type of basically beef that's unnecessary with people that she cares about. Gently switching subjects, Candace says, "I know, what you're going through with your friend has been all consuming, but I am glad that we're getting a chance to talk. And what you said in your text message," and they showed the text message where Robyn said, "Hey, I definitely think we should talk. I think we are better than where we are as friends." Candace said, "I agree, and I don't like where we are." Robyn said, "I consider you like a little sister." Candace starts crying and she says, "Robyn, you're the only person that I feel like I have that with." Candace said, "I don't know why you just didn't talk to me if you felt like I was directing that message to you." And that is true, because if they are sisters and everything like they proclaim, Robyn had a knee-jerk reaction and said she was going to humiliate Candace instead of going to her and saying, "Hey girl, I seen this live. What's up with that?" Candace probably would have told her, "I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this one, that one, and the third." And it would have been cleared up. Robyn said, "Well, who exactly are you talking about? Because I do remember that I felt like you were questioning my loyalty as a friend." She said, "And with the whole Chris and Giselle thing, I have been telling Giselle that I don't see it the same way that she does." She said, "So therefore I felt like what you were saying on Instagram, including me in the equation, was wrong." Candace said, "I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think that you are a fake Pebble Beach." Robyn said, "Okay, but girl, in the future, just be a little bit more specific." Candace said, "Okay, that's fair." They both agreed to just move on because there's too many other things that are going on in both of their lives. Next, we see Mia. She is at one of her chiropractic locations that both her and Gordon own. Their business is called The Joint, their chiropractic business, and they have 14 locations over 4 states. They are celebrating the opening of their newest location, which is in DC. So Karen arrives, and in her confessional, she said she doesn't throw away friendships, okay? It takes a lot. She takes them seriously, and that's how she rolls. Next, we see self-proclaimed representative Jacqueline. She shows up. While they're celebrating Mia's accomplishment, we see Ashely, who makes a stop over her uncle's house. So she's telling her uncle and her aunt that, yeah, both the kids were supposed to come, but Michael's giving her a hard time. He's like, he wants to spend time with Dean. She's like, okay, we can do that, all together or whatever when we get back. He's like, no, you take Dylan. I want to spend time with Dean. She said he starts yelling, talking about she don't plan stuff properly, and it just became a big screaming match. In the midst of the argument, the baby Dean, he starts screaming the word stop. Right? Kids, they get uncomfortable with that. They know something is wrong. They can sense this is not happy screaming. This is not fun screaming. Something is wrong. In her confessional, she says she doesn't know how she's going to feel living in the house with 2 young boys by herself. She said it doesn't feel like it's the most important thing for her to do for herself and the kids. And I was lost at that statement. She tells her uncle that she's really scared to do this by herself. She starts to cry and says she's scared to do this on her own. Her auntie was like, "Ashely, you're never alone." And she said, "I know I'm not, but I am." She said, "Ultimately, I'm going to be responsible for so much, including the well-being of the 2 boys." And she's really scared. Her auntie assures her that she has them and she has tons of family that are going to be there for her. Her auntie said, "You are a fantastic mother, and being separated from Michael is not going to change who you are as a person. You just have to believe in yourself." And Ashely starts crying even more. Her uncle said, "You got to believe what you have around you outside of Michael." Next, we see Candace, and she's picking up her mama. So her mama makes a debut this season. In her confessional, Candace said, "Me and my mom have not always had the best relationship. I held on to what I thought our relationship should have been forever." You know how you have that idea of your mother and the relationship that you should have with her, and no matter the idea and the desire, they are just who they are, and they are just how they are. Candace said, I've just learned to let whatever my mom says roll off my back. I know it's easier said than done, but that's what I do. So she lets her mom know, look, my cycle was supposed to start days ago. Her mom said, and you haven't gotten it? Woo, a baby, ooh. And then the chastising begins. Her mom says, maybe you ought to calm down, stop cussing, stop using the F word so much. Girl, because I just told you that my cycle was late and you already telling me what I should stop saying. Candace said, children can hear cuss words and know not to use them. Her mom said, I don't know how. Now, my grandmother always said that shit wasn't a bad word. She didn't put the T on there. She didn't put the T on there. She just dragged out the SHI. Shit, right? But I remember, yeah, we know not to use them, but I remember I got my butt whooped because I was in the bathroom imitating my friend who had got cussed out by her mother. I'm in the bathroom supposed to be doing what I'm doing. I'm standing in the mirror imitating my friend's mama, cussing up a storm, walked out, and let's just say I didn't get caught cussing again. I didn't stop cussing. I just didn't get caught. So it's the day of Giselle's twins' birthday party, and the girls look beautiful. They look adorable. So cute. The girls love the setup. Giselle lets them know, okay, this will be the room for you and your friends, and me and my friends are going to be in the room next door. Next, we see Pastor Jamal Bryant, the girl's father, also who decided that he wants to teach Black men how to grow cannabis and farm in order to drive Black men to church. Yes, that Pastor Jamal Bryant. He arrives. So they get ready to take family pictures. And in her confessional, Giselle said, look, me and Jamal, we've had our ups and downs, but when it comes to the kids, Jamal is present and accounted for. So he shows up. So Ashely gets there, followed by Sharice and Robyn. Giselle then introduces Jamal to everybody, says, I don't know if you all have had a chance to meet him. This is Jamal Bryant, my baby daddy. Giselle and Jamal, they give the girls a happy birthday speech. Giselle tells them that they killing the game. She wishes that she was like them when she was 16 because they are confident and they are strong, and she was not at that time. In her confessional, she said that both of the girls are her heart and soul, and they just remind her that there are people in this world who are special and who want the best for other people. And I said, so they exhibit everything opposite of what you exhibit on the show. Next, we see Candace. It's the day of her graduation party, so she's very excited. So she's in the backyard with her mom looking at the setup, and they see this big snake. And her mom says, Candace, I thought you said Giselle wasn't coming, but look, there she is. Now that made me chuckle. So the guests start to arrive, and we see Karen and Ray. They show up. So Candace comes downstairs. She's dressed, and Ray is like, wait a minute, hold up, girl. I thought this was a backyard barbecue. Like, where you going? Because Candace got on her little pink dress and her heels, and Chris made a joke and said, Ray, have you met my wife, Candace? Extra is the name of the game. And in her confessional, Candace said, Chris and my mom are fine. She said, Chris wants peace. She said that her mother gave Chris an apology the best way she knew how. And they flashed back to the reunion where Andy said, do you think that you owe Chris an apology? Do you think that he's owed that? She was on the phone, speakerphone. Yes, that's fine. Girl, what you mean that's fine? Is that an apology? Is Andy apologizing for you and you're giving him the approval? You're giving him the okay to say, yes, that's fine. Go ahead and apologize to him for me, Andy, because I didn't hear you apologize specifically. Anyway, Candace said the way she apologized, that's it, and that has to be enough. I guess that's all you was gonna get, so take it or leave it. I would have left it. Next person to arrive is Robyn, followed by Sharice, and then Wendy, who's yelling, come on 2 degrees, come on 2 degrees. So Candace got a dual degree. I don't remember what her second degree is, and I only know of the one for the Master's in Business Administration, but you better go, girl, with 2 degrees. In her confessional, Wendy said, I'm here for all the degrees, girl. She got 2 degrees. I mean, it's not 4, but it's 2. Wendy. So everybody's in the backyard. It looks like a fun-filled party. A lot of people showed up for Candace. In her confessional, she said she took a pregnancy test and it came back negative, and she was disappointed in the moment. But now they're just going to focus on going back to their plan with the egg retrieval process. So the ladies are sitting down, they're eating or what have you, and then Karen just says, yeah, so Robyn, Ray and I, we have a lot of free time on our hands. Robyn said, do you? Karen said, when's the wedding, Robyn? I was like, wait a minute, how you jump from you and Ray having a lot of free time to then saying, so when's the wedding, Robyn? I didn't get the segue. Robyn is hesitating. She's fanning, saying she's hot. And Karen's like, no, seriously, what's up with this? You got the wedding date, you got the wedding dress, the venue, what's going on? Robyn said, we're working on our plans. Karen said, working on your plans? Robyn said, yes, it's going to be a private ceremony with just the four of us. Karen said, really? So we're not invited? Robyn said, nope. In her confessional, Karen said, now you're having an intimate wedding with no guests. She said, just say, listen, marriage is not for me and Juan. We like shacking. It's none of y'all business. Karen said, and I would mind my business. She said, but you make it my business. Wendy comes over, sits with the ladies. She speaks to everybody. I'm not sure if Robyn spoke. They didn't put the camera on her at that time. And when they did show her, she had that same awkward disposition, body language, and look on her face. So then Wendy said it directly. Hey, Robyn, how are you? And Robyn said, hey, I'm good. Wendy said, last time I saw you, we had a good drunk conversation. Robyn said, very drunk. Wendy said, so I'm just checking in because I feel like what people say that sometimes a drunk mind speaks a sober heart. Robyn said, Wendy said, and what I said, I meant. I was hurt by some of the things that you did. But what I told you is what's most important to me, and that is I miss our friendship. Robyn said, I had time to think about it. My main thing is, why were you comfortable having that conversation when there was no one from the group around, where it didn't seem like you had to win a debate? It wasn't met with the same contention that I've been met with from you in the past year. And then they flash back to when Robyn was acting oblivious to the rumors that Gizelle was spreading about Wendy. And when Wendy came for her relationship and said, you don't even have a relationship to talk about, Robyn is pissed off about that. Robyn says, so I'm like, which is it? Like, how do you really feel? She said, I don't know. Wendy said, that's a valid question. And that's why I sat down. I had the liquid courage to say how I feel. She said, and in that moment, I just didn't want what we had to be completely gone. Robyn said, I appreciate that. She didn't say, I appreciate that. She said, I appreciate that. I heard a but coming, but then Wendy said, well, here I am. I'm coming to you twice so that you know that it's genuine. And I'm saying to you that I'm sorry that I hurt you and I valued our relationship enough to come and make it right. Robyn said, I appreciate that, and I don't know if there's something that you still want me to acknowledge. She said, are you going to say that you're sorry for hurting my feelings? Robyn said, but I've said that already. Robyn says it again. I'm sorry. And Wendy acts like she just received her heart's treasure. Wendy jumps up, squealing, hugging her and everything. In her confessional, Robyn said, I'm surprised that Wendy took ownership of her part in the dissolution of our friendship. She said, I'll take this Wendy, this one-on-one Wendy any day. Now it's time for Candace and Karen to talk. I guess this episode is really an apology tour, and it seems like Robyn is getting the brunt of the apologies. I guess that's why it's called Clean Up the Mess, because everybody is cleaning up their big spills, right? Candace says, so Karen, when we were on our trip in Miami and Ashely said that you were, and Karen said, in these streets. Candace said, I did not remember saying it, and that's why I was vehemently saying I didn't say it. In her confessional, Candace said, I was being messy and drunk with the demon, and you were so ready to bond with Ashely for whatever reason, you spilled messy tea on Karen. Production now finally showed how the conversation started, which was Ashely who initiated it by saying, people used to tell me so much stuff about Karen and Ray, which is when Candace said, oh my gosh. Candace told Karen, my bad, I love you and Ray. The question I would have had if I was Karen was, but why did you say it anyway? Why did you say that? I get that you didn't remember saying it, but why did you say it? What was the purpose? What was your objective, graduate? Instead of asking the question, Karen said, Candace, let me tell you that means a lot to me because we have made progress. Although it's been slow, we've made progress. They hug it out, and Karen said in her confessional, when you own your then I'm okay with you. She said, this is not enough to end the relationship, but I'm watching you. It's interesting how people say if a person owns what they did, I'm okay with it. You can own it, but I'm still not going to be okay with it depending on what it is you said and or did. I care less about you owning it. But different strokes, different folks. I know this is a show. They are castmates. They are co-workers. So she lets it roll off her shoulder. Karen said, Candace, was Ashely lit that night too? Candace said, we both were. Karen said, oh, so y'all was both being shady. She was being shady too. Then she said, how are you with Ashely? Candace said, we're not. Candace said, the group is disjointed. And although I don't like everybody, I also don't like that we're not all together. On the other side of the room, Ray is talking to Chris and saying, yeah, I just heard that Gizelle won't be here. He said, yeah, because her and Candace are not on the same page. Ray said, well, the way I saw it, which obviously was blind, he said, well, the way I saw it, it didn't have anything to do with Candace. It had to do with you and Gizelle. Well, honey, if it has to do with her husband and you are defaming and lying on him, it has everything to do with Candace. Ray, like I said, the way you saw it was through blind eyes. Chris said, I was just talking to Giselle trying to help her understand how Candace communicates so that they can communicate better. He said, at the end of the day, those are her feelings, and if she was uncomfortable, she was uncomfortable. He said, but it wasn't because of anything I did. Ray said, well, why don't you take the higher level and apologize to her because it was a misunderstanding? It certainly was not a misunderstanding. Chris said, apologize for what? Ray said, she misunderstood your intentions. No, she didn't. And like Chris said, but there was no intention. In the confessional with Candace and Chris, the producer said, why not just say, I'm sorry you were uncomfortable? Before Chris answers, I'm just going to say, because that is an admission of him doing something that made her uncomfortable. Even if he said, I'm sorry you were uncomfortable, Giselle would take that and flip it and say, Chris said he's sorry he made me uncomfortable. Back to Chris's answer, he said, because that would be like me admitting to doing something wrong, and I stand on what I said. I did nothing wrong. Completely over the conversation with Ray, Chris said, let me go over here and see what's up with Candace. To the producers in the confessional, Candace said, and if her and Chris ever meet and talk again, who knows what she's going to say, because who knew that she was even going to say this? Everyone is in the kitchen. There's a lot of space. Candace is making an announcement, thanking everybody for coming, and Ray says, there's too many people in here. I'm like, is it? What? You was just at Karen's spring party, full of people. What are you talking about, Ray? Robyn looked at him like, what is your problem? Candace is thanking her mom for being an inspiration, while Chris is pissed off by Ray. Like, how you gonna come in my house anyway? Chris is pissed off by Ray, so he takes a step outside, and he's like, how you gonna tell me to apologize? Apologize for what? He had to take a step outside, talk to himself, calm himself down. Candace is celebrating, clapping it up. Chris is sitting out on the porch. He's pissed. Somebody said, you walking around here like you ready to jack somebody up, man. He said, I feel like it. And then they put the camera on Ray, who's inside the house. And the episode ends. So the title of this episode was appropriate, Cleaning Up the Mess, because again, everybody was going around cleaning up the messes from either last year or the trip in Miami. Anyway, you guys, thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, put some comments down if you have something to say about the episode. And until next time, you all take care. Peace.